I told myself, let's make this episode light. Let's make it fun. And then I didn't. Because the topic, it's hard to make some of these topics really light. But that's what I'm just going to go for it. We're just going to go for it. So are you ready? Let's go for it. Welcome to Empowered Now. I'm your host, Colette Kati. Join me as we talk all things to uplift, encourage, teach, inspire, and empower you to see your best self, to live your best life, and to thrive wherever you are. Colette, I have been cheated on, and my partner has been unfaithful. How do I trust again? How will I ever trust again? This is a question that I get asked so often in my DMs, and I appreciate everybody that reaches out to me because I know it's a difficult thing, and there's so many emotions around it, so much. So I just want to start off by saying, if this has ever happened to you, whether it's a partner betrayal or some other type of trust lost by a friend or a parent or any relationship, and there's a loss of trust there, I understand. And my heart goes out to you because it's not easy. It's like life was one way, or you perceived it as one way, and then all of a sudden it's gone and it's different. And so naturally there's this internal desire to have things go back the way they were before you experienced the distrust, or before it happened, or before it was apparent. It's just you want to be in that happy, blissful place with your relationship, or with your, whatever relationship it is. And it was one way, and now it's another. And that's hard. It hurts, and it sucks. And another piece to that can often happen is that we want things to be back the way they were, right? And there's an internal part of you that thinks, if I trust, it will be back the way it was. Like, I want it to feel the way it did. Okay. So there's this desire, this need, like, okay, I want to trust again. Some of you are like, hell no, I never want to trust again. I already know I don't want to do that. And that's fine. But I know that there's a portion of people out there that are like, wow, I really want to. What do I do? How do I do that? Well, first of all, you don't have trust anymore with this person. Of course you don't. They broke it. It's broken. The trust is gone. It's broken. And that can be really painful to accept. But that's the first step. Of course you don't trust. And there's a part of you inside, and I get that there might be a part of you that wants to, but the trust is gone. They broke it, and it's gone. That might sound really harsh, but that is the reality. And the first thing I would say is to honor your reality, honor the reality that the trust has been broken. And the thing about trust is that when somebody does something to remove this trust, it is up to them to rebuild. Say you have a marriage relationship or a agreement between you, and maybe it's even an unspoken agreement that you're going to be together. You're going to have this certain way of life or whatever, and they don't do it and it's broken. That's not yours to rebuild anymore. They're the ones that breached their side, and they have to rebuild it. And sometimes that's hard to hear. You can't fix it. But that can also be a very relieving thing to hear. You can't fix it. It's not yours to fix. Honor that. Honor that part of you that says, do not trust. Because that's where you're at. You can't trust them. Or you can choose to trust, because trust is often a choice. But if there's an internal part of you that does not feel that that's a great choice, don't do it. There's a reason for that. I know some of you are thinking like, this is very simple, but I know that there's a group of people out there that would Totally hear me on that. It's hard to trust. And sometimes we want to, and it's just not the right thing. Do not trust. They have broken it. It's gone. And actually, it's okay not to trust. That's the second thing. Accepting that you can't trust. This is what I was talking about when I was talking about letting a dream die. The trust is gone. It's broken, honey. You've got to let it go. Okay? That's the first thing. And that might include letting yourself feel the emotions that are attached to that, which there are a lot. Grieving, anger, resentment, a lot of different things. Sorrow. Letting yourself be in the space of, I can't trust you. You broke it. What's next, right? Just breathe that in for a minute. Another problem that can come along with this when your trust has been broken and it hasn't been rebuilt is that you want it to be rebuilt so badly because you want things to be back the way they were, right? You don't like this feeling of not trusting. It was much better in the feeling of trusting and feeling safe and feeling loved and like you were enough and that this person had your back. It's not there anymore. They broke it. They have to rebuild it. I know I keep reiterating that. But sometimes our brains are like, but. And sometimes we even think that we should trust, that somehow that this person, if I love them or if I really care about them, even though they broke my trust, that I should try to trust. Or maybe it's been a long time. Maybe it's been, a long time after this has happened and there's still a part of you that's like, oh my gosh, I don't trust. And I'm going to get into that a little bit more, but honor that. Honor where you are in the not trusting. It's so important. And I'm going to reiterate this so many freaking times in this podcast. Honor where you are. Your internal guidance system, your emotions, honor that where you are. Honor that you're not trusting. It's okay. It's okay not to trust. There's no reason why you should, obviously. There was a trust broken and there hasn't been a rebuilding. For whatever reason, for however many lengths of time or whatever, there hasn't been a rebuilding. Now the question is, how do I build trust within me? You can't put it in them anymore. You got to stop trying to do that right now, okay? It's not working. They broke it. They've got to rebuild it. And that's a whole other episode. But the person that broke your trust needs to rebuild it. And there's a lot of different ways that we can talk about what that looks like. But the thing is, you don't have control over what they choose to do, obviously, or you would have chosen that they not do the thing that broke the trust in the first place. You can't change that and you can't control it. So now what do you get to do? You get to build trust. So I get that many of you that have experienced this probably understand that feeling of like you're being shoved into something you didn't want. You're being forced into an experience that is not of your making, that you did not wish upon yourself or anyone else. But here's the thing. Now it's in your lap. Now you get to choose. What am I going to do now? And that's where you start honoring what you want, what you need, and what you need to do to build trust. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. And I'm not saying build trust with this other person. I'm saying build that trust within, because often when we are putting that safety in somewhere else, it crumbles, it goes away. But as you build trust within, as you build that safety center within yourself and your own world with you and your higher power, you've got you and you're going to be okay. And you will build that trust in a way that whatever this person's doing over here is going to be their crap to deal with. And you get to be solid. It takes time. Okay, so I feel like I'm jumping ahead of myself. So how do you do that? How do you build trust within yourself? So when I was going through my experience of really crappy, was really shitty, guys, as you understand. All right, when I was going through my experience, when my husband was unfaithful to me, the question that I started to ask myself is, what do I need? What do I actually need? Because there's a voice in there that says, well, I need them to fix it. I need them to not do this. I need them to do this. I need, all these things from the other person you're not going to get. And maybe in time, but that's not actually what you need right now. And yes, obviously that would be nice. Yeah, in order to have a safe relationship with them, you do need those things. So I'm not going to say like, oh, you don't need what you need. But what I'm saying is when you put your focus in needing that other person to change, you are powerless. You do not have control. You're not empowered because you don't get to choose what they choose. And sometimes you really got to grieve that because it hurts. And this also goes with family relationships. I get asked the question as well, like I'm really struggling with life not being the way that I thought it would be, with, my kids not behaving a certain way or choosing the certain thing, or my husband not choosing a certain thing that I am wanting to choose. What do you do with that? You start choosing what is best for you. You gotta let go of needing those other people to change so that you're okay. You've got to start paying attention to, what do I need so that I can be okay no matter what, no matter what. And often people think, okay, well, if I leave and I find another relationship, yes, that is true. Obviously, that's true in many cases and obviously necessary a lot. Like that might be the choice that you make. But what I'm offering you is, if you go inward, then whatever choice you make, if you say you leave this relationship, you go into a new one, you're not going to carry with you that same grasping need to have them change now and them be a different person, or them like heal your wounds so that you can be okay. Nobody's going to heal your wounds. Nobody's going to do that. It's yours. You get to heal it. And notice how I said you get to heal it. I know that it can sound harsh, but I experienced it for myself. It makes me emotional because I'm so glad. Like there's a part of you that might hear those words like, it's yours, it's your wound, you got to heal it. Yes, that other person did the thing to create the wound. I get that. But you have the power to be able to heal. It doesn't have to come from them, because they might not ever choose to do the things that will help rebuild the trust. And that might always be there. But if you keep needing that to change and it never changes, you're going to suffer. So that's that thing that I keep talking about. Letting go and coming back to, what do I need? What do I want that I can control? Okay. So there's a list. There's a whole lot of things. And that's when life gets really good, because you actually have the power. And sometimes that's scary, because we've spent so much time putting trust in other people that we forgot to build that trust within ourselves. And I did that same thing. I was like, well, I don't know. What if I'm not even that great of a person? Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what I need. Well, there's a lot of things that can help you start understanding what it is you need and how to rebuild trust with yourself. Because trust lost out here, we can handle that. It's the trust in here that when it's broken, nothing outside of this, nothing out here, sorry, I'm using my hands, but nothing outside of yourself is going to heal that trust if your trust within yourself is broken. Okay? So that's where you start. How do I rebuild trust with myself? And maybe that was strong to begin with. But now that there's trust broken out here, that's when you go back in. You go into your own world and build that trust. Okay, how do you do that? All right, so I have several suggestions. And I think there's one overall. It's that focus of coming inward, of being grounded or focusing on yourself. And that can be really hard for people because we have this flip in our brain sometimes that says, oh, if I focus on myself, then I'm being selfish. But that's not actually true. When you are actually a selfish person and you're taking from people, that's because you have a lack within. You don't have that self-trust. You don't have a solid groundedness inside. So you're trying to take from other people. That's selfish. Okay? But when you are grounded, you have that self-trust inside. That is self-wholeness. Okay? And that's what we need to go in and establish now. Trust is broken out here. We're going to go back in and rebuild it from within. It might not be with that person. They might have to say goodbye, and that's going to be a whole process of grieving and letting go. But as you go within to rebuild that trust, it's going to get better. And your next relationship will be even richer because you're creating that wholeness, or not even creating it because it was always there to begin with, but you're connecting back to yourself. So you've lost this connection outward with this person, but that's why we go back in and we connect back to the self. So you're going to hear me talk a lot about boundaries on this podcast because to be truly empowered, you've got to have boundaries. You've got to have boundaries with your energy. You've got to have boundaries with other people. You've got to have boundaries with what you will and won't accept into your world. Because there's a lot out there. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of energies. There's a lot that is not going to serve you. And I think that often, and this is for me, I got so used to just letting everything in. Like, oh, that's okay. That's okay. I'm fine, right? But people pleasing. That's a pattern that I dealt with. That when my husband was unfaithful, it was like glaring me in the face that like, I do not want to do that. I do not want to be that kind of person anymore, because obviously like that hurts to have that trust broken. And so often when we are people pleasers and we're trying to establish boundaries, it feels really freaking messy. Okay. So, and what I mean by boundaries is, and sometimes people get this confused. So, oh my gosh, this is a whole episode. But in a nutshell, to setting a boundary with somebody means like, this is what I will and won't accept. This is my space. Imagine like this bubble around you. This is my world. And if I am to let you in my world, there needs to be certain things happen, certain behaviors, certain way of being, or I will do whatever I need to do to make sure that you're not in my world. So it's different than an ultimatum. An ultimatum can be like, unless you do this, I won't do this. It sounds similar, but a boundary is more like, you know what, this is my safe space. And if you can't jive in here, then I'm going to remove myself. What I will do based on what I will and won't accept. Okay. I can't force you to do anything. I can't force you to do the actions that you need to do in order for me to trust you again. And by the way, sometimes that doesn't even work. Sometimes we think, oh, if this person does all of these things, then I will trust them again. It's not that simple. So when this first happened to me, when I was betrayed and my heart was broken, there are several things that I did to, not in this order necessarily, But there were several things that I did that I want to share with you because they really helped me. And I'm trying to make this not such a list of what to do, but more so a shared experience of this was my experience. These are some things that I did that helped me come back to trusting myself and growing that connection and that support system within. And ironically, one of the first things that I did, and this was actually before anything that, the internet knew about, but when I talked about this in one of my first episodes about feeling so depressed and so down on myself that, and just like afraid, having this general fear and anxiety that did not make sense to me. I was like, what is wrong with me? Why do I feel this way? My life is great. What is going on here? That's when I decided to reach out and get help. So I got a therapist. I actually listened to my intuition. Her book fell off of, almost practically, did not literally, but it like stuck out to me on a bookshelf at the bookstore. And I was so drawn to this therapist. And I think, I like to believe in higher power. And I think there was a guidance that I was given to find this therapist because she's been phenomenal for me. And I know that that's not that way for everyone, but if it's not, keep shopping around, because ironically, when we try to do things on our own, yes, that's empowering to be independent, but we need help. We need people and we need connection to be able to grow and be completely independent and empowered. Does that make sense? Like if you are an independent person, it doesn't mean that you don't need people. You still need people. You still need support. Nobody is an island. Okay? It just means, like in this case where I had been through betrayal, I needed to reach out and find help from people that could help me. And that included a therapist. So I reached out and got a therapist actually before anything happened. But I'm so glad that I did, because that helped me so much. And I want to reiterate, independence and self-resilience and reliance is what we're going for. But ironically, you cannot get there without people. And I'm not saying that you have to have a therapist. I'm just saying don't shut yourself off from the world to keep yourself safe. It doesn't actually work. And it's okay if you're doing that, because we do what we need to when we need to. I'm just saying what I did was I got a therapist and it helped me so much. So establishing that trust with yourself means listening to that call within to get help, or listening to that call when you hear, like when you ask yourself, like close your eyes, actually put your hand on your heart or on your belly or both and say, what do I need? And then offer that to yourself. And maybe it's just love. Maybe you're like, well, I need love. And maybe you're longing for this person to give you love. How do you establish and feel that love within without needing somebody to give it to you? Love isn't something that somebody gives to you. Love is a feeling that grows from within. It grows when you're helping people. It grows when you're living out your purpose. It grows when you're in a flow of a hobby that you love, that like lights you up. That's where love comes from. Love is within you. It doesn't come from another person. They help light it up in you sometimes. They can invoke it to come forward in you because of whatever reason, because they're great and they're wonderful and you can trust them, right? Until you can't, and that's gone. Well, the love is in there still. It's yours. You get to establish and find ways to bring that back. I mentioned doing things that light you up inside. That's another way to start establishing trust in yourself. is finding your hobbies, finding your interests. Like, what do I actually like? What do I want? And some of us, like, that's really uncomfortable to even try to discover. Sometimes we don't even know. Like, what do I like? I don't know. I've spent so much time putting all my energy into this other person or these other people or my family, and I don't even know. I don't know what I like. It's time to figure that out. So we've talked about getting help, connecting with a therapist or a coach or somebody that can help you. It might even be support groups. It might even be a church group or just that kind of thing. Connecting with, really, yes and. It's a yes and, like therapy, coach, and support groups and your church groups and your whatever it is that you could connect with to feel safe. So these are safe connections. When all this crap went down for me, I got really hyper aware of who in my world is helping me and who is hurting. Who is and maybe not even hurting, but just like a connection that's just like, ick. Just not, this is not quite a connection that is actually lifting me up. And I got really hyper aware of that, and people started to fall away. I started to draw inward as a protection, naturally, of course. Of course we do that. And people started to fall away that weren't safe for me, that weren't great for me. And so that's one thing that you can trust, like your internal system, to kind of know. But here's another thing. Reaching out to a therapist was not easy. It actually, I had to get really fed up, I guess, with the way I was feeling to overcome that fear of reaching out. So I know I say trust your internal guidance system, but often when we are in a place where we have been people pleasing, or we've had that distrust, or we've been gaslit, we're in an unhealthy dynamic with our partner, or they're unhealthy, or we're unhealthy, or whatever it is, we're not always going to trust our intuition. And so that's another part of it, is learning to listen to your intuition and trust it. And that can come with fear. So I was actually really afraid to reach out to a therapist. I was scared. I was like, I don't want to talk about my problems. I don't want to admit that I have a problem. I don't want to do this. But it got bad enough that I was finally like, well, what have I got to lose? So sometimes life can do that for you, but I invite you to trust that getting the help is going to help propel you forward. And don't just trust the first person, I guess I should say. I got lucky. I got a great therapist. I've had great coaches throughout my journey. I still have my therapist. I love her, and I still have my coaches. But you have to kind of do some trial and error. You gotta try something out. You know what? That doesn't work. Don't give up. Look again. Even ask your higher power. And that's another topic, or that's another part of this conversation. Am I jumping all over the place? I feel like I'm jumping all over. But this is so near and dear to my heart that I want to give you a lot. So here it is. Blah. Just word vomit. Here you go. Another way to establish that connection with yourself is to create appointments. This could even be like self-care appointments, but create things that you do for yourself that you honor. Like if you are a mom or a dad, or you've got family to take care of, or you have a really intense job, or whatever it is, there's always demands. There's always going to be other demands. But if you don't start putting yourself first, your self-care, your connecting back to yourself, you're not going to establish that trust. So you've got to make time. You've got to find a way to create time to connect back to yourself. Honor your commitments and your appointments to yourself. That's so huge. I know it's so simple, but like if you say, you know what, I am going to wake up at this time and I'm going to read and meditate, then do it. Or I'm going to go and get my nails done at this time. And then say, something comes up and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, you know what? I can put my stuff last. Don't do that anymore. Start prioritizing, what do you need for you? It's almost like you are your own best friend. I actually heard a podcast clip today. Actually, that was today from, what's his name? Lewis Huey. I don't even know. Lewis. He was interviewing Matthew. Where is it? What's his name? Matthew Hussey. And, cause he has this new book out, Love Life or something like that. In this clip, he was talking about if we saw ourselves as if we were as if we see our children, when somebody asks you, why do you love your kids? You don't say, oh, because they got straight A's or because they looked really cute today. Or, we don't have those superficial things typically that you don't say, oh, that's why I love my kids. You love them because they're your kids and you love them. What if you saw your relationship with yourself the same way? What if you love yourself just because you love yourself, because you're yours? You're the only you're ever going to have. So love it. Love yourself. Anyways, it's powerful. It's powerful when you start to make that shift. And when you start coming first, then those other relationships that you are pouring into can thrive because you are full. That's a whole episode too. Anyways, okay, I know I've been talking for a while, but there is another thing that's really important, and that is honoring your expression. Get that shit out. Get it out. Because there's so much emotions that can come or get kicked up when we have betrayal. And sometimes we judge ourselves. We've been betrayed. And now there's this feeling of, oh, I'm angry. Oh, I can't feel anger, or I shouldn't feel angry. That's not nice. Right? Okay. So now you're judging yourself because you're angry. Let yourself be angry. Get that out. Express it. However you need to express it in a way that's not going to hurt the other people around you. Okay. So going for a run, free writing. That's one that I love. I don't always love it because it's scary, kind of. Sometimes you start it, you're like, oh, I'm getting all this anger out. But get it out on paper so that it's not inside of you anymore. You might even make a list, an anger list or a guilt list. If you start to feel guilty, why the crap am I feeling guilty right now? Just start making that list. Get it out. And there's a misconception that if you write it, you're going to manifest it or you're going to, whatever that is. No. If you have a strong emotion or strong feelings, you've got to get that out. It's really powerful. So I would just, try it. And you can even have this be your burn book, shred it or burn it or whatever you need to do, but get that out. Get it out. So I actually have I don't know. I have a whole box of self-discovery journals. I call them my self-discovery journals. And they are also my burn ones. So if I need to write stuff out and then tear a piece of paper out of it and shred it, it's not a big deal because it's just a notebook. I do keep journals, but I typically for my self-discovery journals, I guess, stuff that I don't necessarily want to go back and read, I will do it like a burn book. All right, so this episode is getting really long. I feel like I'm throwing a lot at you, but it's important. It's good stuff. It really is. Trust me, it's going to be good. So if this is your experience, you've been betrayed and you're trying to trust again, trusting in yourself is really important, but also establishing trust with a higher power of your understanding. Now, I know that me saying higher power might make some of you really itchy and cringe, but that concept is this changed everything for me. So I have believed in God for a really long time. My version of my higher power or God or whatever that is, and it's kind of shifted and changed over the years. But deciding to have a trust in something bigger than myself is what has made all the difference, because there's so much that we can't control that sometimes our brains can get really scared. And that was it for me. I thought, what is wrong with me that I've lost this connection and this trust? Like, what did I do? And sometimes we can start to really get in our heads about not being enough. And choosing to put my trust in a higher power has helped heal that piece so much. That's a big piece. And perhaps it was there before you were even betrayed. That piece of like, am I enough? Do I actually have what it takes? Am I worth it? Am I loved? And when you've been betrayed, that really gets kicked up if it's there. And it did for me. Like, am I enough? Am I really worth loving? Do I matter? What's wrong with me? And establishing that connection, or that deciding to believe that there's a higher power that loves me, was huge for me. And I'm not here to like preach about God or try to tell you what to believe. That's not why I'm here. I'm not going to do that. I just acknowledge that there is a higher power. And if you can see that, if you think about even the earth, for instance, the earth spins, it rotates around the sun, it's moving, like everything just moves in a perfect way, that we have our days and we have our years and we have the seasons, and they come and they go, and it's pretty constant, right? Nobody on this earth is making that happen, right? And if you're really scientific, like, yeah, well, that's science. It's all like working together. Well, that's bigger than you, right? That's a higher power. It's bigger than you. And if you can believe and put your trust in that power, magical things happen. And that's where I'm going to end with that thought, because I know I can just see the comments now. They're just coming in. But I would love to have a bigger conversation around all of this. And for those of you that don't know, on Instagram, I do lives frequently where I will discuss and talk about topics from the podcast. I'll talk about coaching. I'll talk about anxiety, people pleasing, like anything that people bring to me, we'll discuss it. And I would love to have you there. If you see me go live, or if you see me, I'll usually either just pop up or I'll announce them on my stories, and just join the conversation. Because I know this is a kind of a big episode. It's kind of a deep episode talking about trust and trusting in people again. And I know that I haven't shared a lot of like specific stories, and that's not because I don't have them or I don't want to. It's just, I haven't had any that have really like stuck out to me in a specific episode to talk about. But another reason for that is that's another boundary that I have, is I choose what I share, when I share, how I share it. Because there can be people that just want to know all your crap. And there's just, that's part of forming your circle of safe people and safe spaces where you can feel safe to be who you are, share what you want, when you want, how you want, and honor every part of that. So I encourage you, especially if you have been betrayed, if that is in your experience, you've got to honor safety. What do you need to do to feel safe again? Not what the other person needs to do, but what do you need to do? Maybe that's leaving. Maybe that's setting a firm boundary about your connection with them and how you show up for them, or how they're available, or how available you make yourself to them, or how available they are to you. Does that make sense? Yeah. So boundaries, super important. And I'm going to talk so much more on all of these, but that's, I think I think there's something, and I'll just share this openly. I think there's something internally why I've really had that feeling of like, I cannot think of stories right now. And I really think it's just because it's not time for me to share specific stories, and I'm fine with that. And I guess I have shared a little bit of that, but this is such a sacred space for me to be in with you guys. And I'm so grateful to be establishing this connection with you, and grateful to be here, and grateful that you're here. So thank you. And I am also taking clients up right now. And I want to make sure that you all know that, because I don't take clients all throughout the year. I only take 4 people at a time, and my schedule is, I have a few openings right now. I have had applications come in that I haven't gotten to yet. So obviously by the time this goes out, I will have gotten to them. But if you're interested in coaching with me or have more questions about it, please DM me on Instagram. You can even leave it in the comments in the YouTube video, or go to my website. And there is a link to fill out an application for coaching. If you have really resonated with what I've said and you are looking for help, I am here. Please reach out to me. And we'll just keep going. We'll just keep partying and going on this ride of finding and unlocking your power. And it feels good. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for being here. And I'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks for watching Empowered Now. If anything you heard today resonated with you and you want more, please like and subscribe so that you won't miss an upload. You can also follow me on social media at Colette Kati. And if you're interested in working with me more closely through coaching or other opportunities, go to my website, ColetteKati.com. It is my hope that you will continue to come back and experience for yourself the benefits of choosing an empowered life. Your feedback and your experience are very important to me, so please take a moment to connect with me in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on today's episode, ideas for future topics, and ideas for guests that you would like to see. And as always, thanks for your time, support, and your courage to live empowered now.